We'll get to the point of answering that, Honorable Kuria Kimani, but first let's listen to what Kenya Kwanza leaders have been saying about the voices of Gen Z.
Hawa watoto wetu wa Gen Z wamekuwa mfano bora kwetu kama wa Kenya na hata sisi viongozi. Wametuonyesha ya kuwa tunaweza kuungana kwa mambo yanayohusia maisha yetu bila ya kugawanya kwa misingi ya ukabila.
Na hawa vijana kwanza sio wa kabila. Wako kwa generation mzuri sana. Hawa vijana hawajui wewe ni kutoka kona gani. Hawa wanajitetea na mambo yao. Na mimi nataka niwahakikishie. Na hata niliongea na rais nikamwambia hawa vijana lazima uwasikize.
Well, so that should be yesterday. Before all this, there were different voices by the same people. Listen.
Demonstrating for a lie. Ungekaa chini uperuzi hiyo finance bill. Ungekaa chini uangalie hizo vitu watu wanakuambia you demonstrate about. Then you realizing you're demonstrating for a lie.
Even some of the photos that we were seeing out of the streets, I can tell you as a graphic editor that they do not belong to this country. Photos were being taken off the internet and being edited and posed as Generation Z.
Wale wengi unaona wakiandamana Nairobi, wameshika simu ya iPhone, wanajiita Gen Z. Wanafika kwa maandamano na Uber. Wanatoka maandamano, wanaingia KFC kukula kuku na minofu. Hawajui kukosa stima ni kitu gani.
So that was like 2 days or 1 day before. But also, they're also saying this.
We are very happy that the young generation, Generation Z, Gen Z as we call them, are now very conscious of the affairs of their state and their country, and they are taking charge. And I want to congratulate them and thank them for taking charge. I thank them because they have transcended our ethnic boundaries and are coming together around issues that touch on their lives.
They are calling for accountability also kwa sisi public servants. Kwa vile tunatumia pesa za mali ya umma. Hapo lazima tujikaze. Na ni kweli vile wanatukosoa wanasema hatutaki kusikia hii, hatutaki kuona hii, mtu akiiba ashikwe afungwe mara moja.
Na hata niliongea na rais nikamwambia hawa vijana lazima uwasikize. Tukienda kupanga finance bill ya next year, hata before hapo lazima tukae na wao, watuambie changamoto yao ni gani, wanataka ikae namna gani, tutapekua mpaka tukubaliana na wao.
Okay, so let me begin with the Honorable Coach. I hope you've swallowed your water. So, I mean, what is this? It looks like a Damascus moment within a very short time.
These young people, some that are out demonstrating, are not just angry about few individuals. It's about the entire parliament. We must tone down and decide and must listen to them. They have a very valid point. And everyone who is addressing them must tone down. It's that moment in the history of this nation that we must sit and agree that the young people of this country have joined the table. And they have forced their way onto the table, and we must listen to their issues. Anyone who is going to talk to them in a very demeaning and condescending manner is doing an injustice to many people of this country. These are our children, these are our brothers, these are our sisters, these are our neighbors, these are our friends. It is that time that we must listen. The issues they are raising are extremely very valid reasons, very valid issues and concerns.
So why was that stand by some of the leaders, which was quite dismissive?
It is unfortunate. And you remember even when I started my contribution this morning, I said we want to apologize. I want to apologize on behalf of the political class for the people of this country that we have not come, we have not listened to them as we should have. Some comments that have been made are unfortunate. They were unnecessary, but we still can correct. There is an opportunity to correct. And you can see from the political class that they are turning down. There are others who will want to use that opportunity to ride on that Gen Z's popularity and concerns they are raising, of course, for their own political gain. But I like the fact that Gen Z's do not want to be associated.
What do you mean political gain? What does one gain in the current conversation?
You heard what Honorable Sifuna is saying. There are vultures in this game. There are people who want to take an opportunity and use it and say, no, we as opposition are siding with you Gen Zs. When we are being condemned, we are being condemned as parliament.
No.
We are being condemned as the political class.
No. Let me ask
How can you say no when you are part of...
Sorry, Honorable Koech.
Yeah.
What opportunity is there?
For the young people?
No.
Yeah.
For politicians
the vultures.
now.
No, politicians want to use this opportunity, some of them, to look like they are good. They are not part of this mess. I liked the first comment today on on X, that I said, how did we find ourselves here? Why are we in this mess? Who has created this mess? Why is Sifuna trying to run away from a mess that has been there? We didn't wake up today in Kenya.
Let me ask you this.
This mess has been there. We've continued to plan.
Because you've listened to Generation Z, what are they saying?
Generation Z are saying we must stop as a country living large.
That's not what they are saying.
They are saying that they have very legitimate concerns and they also want their input in the governance of this country. That is what they are saying. They are also saying that the taxes that have been introduced, some of them we should get rid of and reject the finance bill. That is what they are saying. Now, it's not one person speaking. There are so many people. I've even taken a listen to some of the fora where they are making contributions on how they can better this country. Look at how peaceful they are. This is not Maandamano Azimio, where there is breakage.
You've listed three things.
Yeah.
Stop extravagance. They want to be on the table. So how do you stop extravagance?
He's saying we live within our means. That's why I was asking today, how do we live without resourcing a finance bill? My point is this. I do not want any politician...
Sam, can you allow us to respond?
Listen, please? Sam, you see that is what Sifuna wants. I do not want any politician to try and take credit of this situation.
Yeah,
we do not want any politicians to come in and step in and want to be the angels.
Honorable Koech, I'll allow you time. I'll come back
to the answers,
because you've raised issues that they are saying stop the extravagance. They want to be on the table. I'll come for answers on what exactly you're proposing.
Sam, can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? There is no Damascus moment. The people in government think they are dealing with fools. We can see when you're being patronizing, you've been cornered and now you're trying to be clever. They want to lump us all in together and say, oh, the Gen Z are condemning an entire political class. I have not seen any Gen Z condemning Sifuna. I have not seen anyone condemning Emilio Odhiambo. If you are going to tell me that Emilio Odhiambo is the same as Nelson Koech, you are insulting Emilio Odhiambo. Because Honorable, my brother Sam, the numbers do not lie. There is no Damascus moment. In fact, there are people who are incapable of Damascus moments. Somebody like Sudi will never meet Jesus, that one. I am telling you, Sam, the numbers do not lie. 115 people listen to what the young people are saying. And even now, Nelson Koech will not tell you what he has heard the young people saying. The young people are saying reject, not amend. That's what I have heard. The young people are saying the source of all these problems is not Kimani. The source of a problem, the head of a snake, is Ruto. It has to be cut off. That's what they're saying. I have heard it with my own ears. Do we live in different countries, Sam? What we must do, and this is the truth, nobody is interested in taking advantage of this movement. In fact, I have told these young people, take this movement to its logical conclusion. If it is possible for you, for me as SG of ODM, I'm super proud of my people. My members of parliament, on social media before this vote was taken, Sam, I was told as SG of ODM to do everything to make sure that all my members are present on the floor of the House. There was not a single abstention from members of ODM. They were all there listening to what the people are saying. Yes, there are some who came there and voted against the direction of the people, but those are people we will deal with later. The truth of the matter is, when it came crunch time, even today, if you give the vote to Oscar Sudi and tell him, now that you are on TV, we saw you saying that you have heard what the young people are saying, are you going to do what they are saying? He will not do it. He will not do it. They are trying to placate these young people because they have been cornered. And what I want to advise them, because we have dealt with this Kenya Kwanza regime before, these are the most duplicitous people you'll ever meet. In fact, they say, oh, let us sit and talk. I am telling you, we have tried talking to these people. They are not people who are going to listen to anything you are saying. So we want to see action. The point of judgment, Sam, is how you vote on the floor of the House. Not how you speak in funerals, what you tell us you have seen about Gen Z, or how many Damascus moments you have had. When the bill is finally put to a vote, the final vote, I want him Koech to tell us if he has heard what the people are saying. Because they are telling us we should stop talking. In fact, Sam, you asked me at the beginning of this show why I've been avoiding coming to this show. And one of the reasons is I honestly believe that we need to remove ourselves from these seats and allow those young people to come here and say the things they want to say. Because if I speak here, you can see I'm being dismissed and say, oh, Atisifuna is trying to take advantage of young people. What for? I have said publicly that we will not interfere with this process. Right. If the young people need anything from us, they'll tell us. In fact, this peaceful demonstration and whatever movement that is happening in this country, for us is on invitation only. If I'm not invited to it, I will not go.
You'll not be there.
Yes.
Alex, what is Gen Z saying? And what can the political class do at this point in time?
Please stop saying political class. Can you address the Kenya Kwanza administration?
No, political class.
Please.
Don't worry, the question is innocent. Let's hear the response.
So that question, I asked a Gen Z yesterday. And a Gen Z who is informed and has also taken time to do a whole degree and also understand tax. And this is what that Gen Z told me, that they're worried about employment. And when employment in the country wasn't working, they decided to apply for passports, which for a very long time we had a problem, and they could not even seek those opportunities out of this country. The other thing that they told me is they're worried about rampant cases of corruption and misuse of public funds. The other one is they are worried about lack of accountability in the use of government resources. The last two, they're worried about improper budgeting and allocation of available resources, and they're also worried about unnecessary allocations such as confidential expenditure. So that's what at least they told me. And in terms of solutions, they mentioned that we have a national tax policy, and we also have the medium-term revenue strategy, which informs how we come up with our tax measures. I know for sure that there are certain things within those two documents that are incorporated within the finance bill, but they're also connecting it with a predictable and a certain tax environment, which is what you see within the national tax policy. And they're saying we've just seen too much of changes that perhaps we need to take a break and say what exactly is working within our tax policy and within our tax plans and what is not working. And then the accountability should be, we proposed, for example, within Finance Bill 2023, these particular measures. They then become honest with us and say we are likely to fall behind what we targeted to collect by a couple of billions. Right. And this is why we think we are going to fall behind. However, and we've looked at each of the tax measures, and this is what the result is. And then coming to now Finance Bill 2024, led by my good friend Kuria, I'm yet to see the numbers for every action. So I don't know how, Sifuna, have you seen them?
Which one?
The numbers for each particular clause within the finance bill.
If you amend it.
Yeah, so that if Kuria says, if you reject this, then this is the number. I don't know if you have.
That's what the document from the Treasury is trying to do.
But wait, the document from Treasury just says about certain budgets and saying this is what is going to happen. But for each line, that level of participation is what we need.
That's what we
that
doing
level
now.
of participation we need. So that even as we counter the narrative and as we counter whatever we're being told in terms of tax changes, we can say this is where the gap is.
Right.
And finally end at, do we actually need that money? And could we look at the budget side as opposed to this particular revenue side that keeps hurting Kenyans?
Mheshimiwa Kuria, have your colleagues sensed trouble leading to the change of tune?
These young people are a very unique generation. And I dare say that especially most of the people in the political class, I think I am one of the people who is one of the youngest legislators. And I'm still trying to understand the thinking of these young people, because the way we grew up and the way they are is completely different. These people are more techno-savvy. They are unlike us, who will care whether it is the SG of ODM or someone from Kenya Kwanza speaking. They cut across the political divide. They cut across the social divide. You know, it doesn't matter whether it is someone using an Uber or someone using a matatu. They all speak the same language. And therefore, I think it is time for the leadership that is taking back to try and understand where are these people coming from. And I'm very happy that, first of all, I have said that they are more involved. And I've been on the record saying I'm one of the people who got lucky to be elected at one of the youngest ages of 28 years of age in the last parliament. And I've continuously said we need to have more voice of young people being heard. But not just that, we need to interrogate the political process more than we actually are. And so after now they have become conscious of how their government is run, I want also to be a responsible registrator, and that's why I'm telling them these are the options available on the table. And my good friend Ernest, CPA Ernest, has said something very important, and something that we intend to recommend to the National Treasury, that in the next publishing of the finance bill, let every clause have the financial implication, so that we're saying that you want to raise X amount of money here, so that even when you're doing public participation, like for example, one of the difficulties that you've had when you try to do a report is that you see a clause and you want to, the members of the public want to delete it, and the financial implication you find is like billions of shillings. And as it was read here on the PFM Act, then you need to bridge to the whole once you do that. But most importantly, one of the things...
I hear what you're saying, that next time the finance bill should have details of what every proposal seeks to fetch. Is it known today?
It is actually known, but it is not public information. That's the point, and therefore the reliance is on like even now what you're trying to do is a proposals that have been proposed by members is take them back to Treasury, then Treasury costs them, because even some of the proposals are new, they're not new proposals, are not be costed, and then we are relying on the costing of National Treasury. So what I look forward in the next finance bill is that even during public participation, we are going to have members of the public, because there are players in these sectors are telling us that this number you have from National Treasury maybe is wrong. So if you suggest that you're going to raise X amount of money from this proposal, then you will actually raise either, you know, so that you have conversation about numbers. But most importantly, Sam, what I would really look forward to is, I say that you have received amendments from 26 members of parliament, around 130 amendments to the finance bill. But at the same time, around the same time when you'll be discussing committee of the whole on the finance bill, we'll be discussing committee of the whole on the appropriations. So I'm looking forward to seeing as many amendments on the expenditure side, because our young people on the streets do not have the premium responsibility and the privilege that we have of sitting in Parliament and suggesting these amendments. So I'm really hoping that let me finish. I'm really hoping that even as both sides of the let me talk about Azimio Kenya Kwanza. Let me talk about members of National Assembly. I'm really hoping that all of us as members of the National Assembly will also interrogate the expenditure side, and we will be recommending amendments to say these expenditures are not needed, we need to cut here, we need to cut here, we need to cut here. That is the only time we're going to have an honest conversation.
I hear Honorable Kuria. Still, you did not answer my question where your colleagues have sensed trouble. I don't know if you have an answer. If you don't, it's still fine.
I have said they are listening to the people, and I'm saying the Gen Z is a very unique group of population.
All right, I had that,
and they're not our usual.
It's okay. I had
not the usual.
He will not answer you, Sam. Just move on.
So they're saying that yes, they want employment, but not abroad. They're saying you're taking them abroad to go and work for other countries. They want to work for Kenya. They are saying they are being abducted, they are being arrested, and they want to express themselves.
Correct.
How do you respond to that?
In terms of employment, Sam, the biggest employer in Kenya, unfortunately, is the government. Not all the educated young people can be accommodated or mainstream in government employment. And that is why even on imposition of taxes on certain things, for instance, clinker, last year in our financial year, we introduced a tax on importation of clinker. Today, DEFCI has opened a very big factory in West Pokot that is now employing so many people just because of that one action. There are so many other actions in this finance bill. Honorable Kuria's committee and their proposal has been extremely consistent on one thing, that anything that is finished and it is imported into the country has to be taxed. That is the only way to improve and to improve our industries locally and to make sure that many young people are...
So what is the direct correlation between Finance Act 2023, Finance Bill 2024 towards enhancing the economy? The Kenyan
taxation. We last year, again, in 2023-2024 financial year, we imposed tax on imported furniture. Today, you find so many young people doing a lot of manufacturing of furniture and furniture products. So that is what is happening in the country. That is job creation.
Yes, you're making
our mind should not be fixated.
You're reducing the demand for imports, or you're making them more expensive. But what is the direct investment into the local economy?
It is because, I mean, you're employing many people. People start to slowly get into employment. When you're not importing furniture, then you give opportunities to the factories in Kenya that are manufacturing the same to thrive. Because now you are imposing taxes on imported finished products. That is precisely what we are doing.
Okay.
Before I leave it to Korea, the biggest one cohort of employment that has been done in the history of this country was on teachers. 46,000 teachers were employed by this administration last year.
But you're proposing to delay the permanent and pensionable transition.
That is another discussion. But
why are you saying they were employed? You know, Sam, why do you allow people to mislead us?
Honorable the National Treasury is proposing to cut 18.5.
That was saying in the effect, if we do not pass, that,
so
unlike Honorable Kuria did say,
you can't leave to that promise.
But I'm saying we're still in the process of reallocating.
Honorable Kuria, you had a direct answer to the contribution of the Finance Acts to the economy?
I'll give you an example. There's a proposed introduction of export and investment promotion levy on all leather products. You know what is happening? Kenya is one of the largest producers of leather products, that is hides and skin. But what is happening now, every hide and skin is like almost thrown away. So there's a direct correlation between the proposals in the finance bill and the expenditure side. For example, on that one matter of leather value addition, where the imposition of export and investment promotion levy on leather would make imported finished leather more expensive. But on the investment on the other side, there's a allocation of 300 million shillings in the current budget on value addition on leather. So we are saying...
So tell me, because that levy was passed last year in the Finance Act of 2023.
No, this is in the Finance Bill of 2024.
No, there was a levy about...
I am telling you, I have the bill here, I can read it out.
There's a levy that even C.S. Moses Kwera was talking about that was meant to enhance.
Page 580 of the Finance Bill of 2024 on goods subject to export and investment promotion levy. 1. Articles of leather of Chapter 42, 20% of customs value, and 2. Imported footwear of Chapter 60, 20% of the customs value. That's what I mean. So like this means that all the imported, what you're calling articles of leather, becomes more expensive, so that we incentivize our local manufacturers to invest in this leather sector. Let me give an example.
That is not direct, isn't it?
There's a, when you make a policy intervention...
So there's no direct intervention, that's what I'm saying.
There is a direct intervention because there is on the expenditure side...
Gen Z is saying that they feel lost.
Which is what I'm explaining, Sam. When you go to the expenditure side, you will see a vote in the estimates now on the floor of the House of 300 million shillings on value addition for leather products. Let me give a different example of a policy.
So where will that money go?
It will go to the Ministry of Trade on value addition for leather. So that will be creating industry that will do tinnery for leather. Let me give a different example that a policy intervention...
Sorry, that has please don't move so fast. So 300 million shillings will go to the MITI Ministry, led by Rebecca Miano. How exactly will it be spent?
To build tinneries for leather.
New tinneries?
Yes.
Is that enough? How many?
It may not... Whether on enough or not,
Sam, you know,
a different story.
What they
But
say
I'm
is
saying, Sam,
the devil is in the detail.
What I'm saying, Sam, is that for every policy decision, I'm just pointing to one example of it, is that if we are saying we want to do value addition for leather, we are providing resources for that value addition of that leather. Let me give a different example on how tax policy can enhance employment.
Can or will?
Last year, we introduced zero rating of local assembly of funds, and we zero rated local assembly of funds. As a result, Africa Device Manufacturers Limited, one of the subsidiaries of Safaricom, is producing 400,000 funds every month. In fact, they lag behind in terms of fulfilling that demand. So these policy interventions that you're seeing in supporting local manufacturing has been proven to have a direct impact on creating our jobs here.
Right. I have just 1 minute. Senator Sifuna, we need to close this, but what's your take about the explanations on how to deal with the concerns raised by Generation Z?
In Nairobi, what they're telling us is what we call kizungu mingi. Because the numbers are pointing to a very different direction, Sam. Last year, the Federation of Kenyan Employers told us themselves, the FKE, that we lost 700,000 jobs. It doesn't matter what these guys tell you. You can see that from the FKE itself, it is having a negative effect, and they pointed directly to the punitive taxation measures that have been proposed by this regime. The CBK conducts a market survey every month. I have the latest one that I was talking about, actually the one in January, that was talking about a survey of the industry and employers in this country on their outlook of a market and their likeliness of absorbing more people in jobs or even letting go those they have. 3/4 of them were saying they are likely to let go of the people who are working now than employ people. So when they tell us these stories that 300 million shillings is supposed to go and open tanneries, I think, Kimani, you have spent so much time with that bill that now you have found ways of confusing the public by trying to paint a picture. Yet 300 million shillings, you know for a fact, cannot build any industry for tannery.
An FKE said 70,000 jobs, not 700,000.
The figure I have is 700K.
What FKE has said in their website is 70,000.
I'll show you the report. I have my report. So, Sam, what we must do is to ask us if the policies that have been put in place by this government are encouraging investment in this country or not. They're citing one clinker factory, but that is nothing to do with, nowhere near what is required in this country to be able to engage the young people that you're seeing on the streets. Look at the numbers of the people who are being put out by the universities each year. Are we being a government responsible enough to be able to encourage investment in the country that is generating jobs for them? Look at the other things that, determine the investment decisions that are made. The cost of electricity, the cost of fuel in the country. All of these things are things that the government has totally refused to do anything about, and it is resulting in capital flight. So at the end of the day, for me, really, Sam, I just want to say this, that if we had sincerity in this particular conversation, what the young people have heard them say is that we now need to stop talking. This seat of mine, I'm donating to those young people. They should be the ones coming to this show so that it can be clear what they are saying, because we can see clearly that there are people who don't want to agree that what the young people are saying and what they interpret them to be saying are two totally different things. So let the young people themselves come and speak here.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. 30 seconds, Alex, then you close.
So I think one thing I want to clarify is that within the finance bill, of course, we don't have changes to land laws. And it's something I've seen circulating, and it's something that we need to correct. However, we have the Land Laws Amendment Bill, number 2 of 2023, which, among other things, seeks to introduce a levy on freehold land. So that's a separate piece of legislation, but public participation should be encouraged. Number 2, proposals that have been made by Kuria Kimani's committee. Of course, there's no guarantee that they'll carry the day, but they have a lot of work to do.
Right.
Finally, you have the road maintenance levy, and we've seen the alert that has been put out. I encourage people to participate. I think the deadline is the 9th of July. It's the one that seeks to increase road maintenance levy to from 18 shillings to 25 shillings per litre of fuel. And I think people will need to watch out for that. And finally, I just carried a poll among my friends to just ask them, what is it that you want with this particular bill? And the statistics are 54% are saying reject, 40% are saying allow with amendments, and 6% they're not sure, or they're saying
decided. That with where? That's a fair one. That's a very fair one.
Yes, I think I want to close it at
so
that.
54% is reject.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So much going on.
So everyone is saying reject.
Road maintenance.
That's what the people are saying.
No, sorry, that 6% is what we are telling the truth.
It's not me.
That 6% is what we are speaking
I'm not the one who ran that poll. Surely. It's his poll.
6% is what you're speaking to.
Yeah, the undecided one.
Undecided.
Yes.
Such a minority.
No, we will, and even
Majority
more, even as people learn.
Yeah. Majority already rejected.
You heard what Wakili is saying. There's a lot of misinformation, even about the land issue. There's a lot of misinformation.
Okay.
Bread.
There.
All right.
Bread, pads.
It's not in the finance bill.
But it doesn't matter where it is, Kimani, honestly. This is a policy of government.
As Alex said, the road maintenance levy, there will be public participation. If you have views, you can send them to the Kenya Roads Board by 5th of July, but there will be public participation on the 8th of July to raise that levy, fuel levy, by 7 shillings. So that will make your liter of petrol and diesel immediately more expensive by 7 shillings. It is also contained in the Finance and Planning Committee. The last paragraph, there's a proposition to have a new clause. I don't know, so you're withdrawing that as part of the amendment?
Yes, if you are to change the RMLF, you cannot change it through the finance bill.
Okay.
You cannot through a regulation gathered by the cabinet secretary responsible for matters of transport. And I think that's what the Ministry of Transport is trying to do. So that cannot be done.
So initially, the new clause was,
so
what did
that
you
was
mean
a
with
proposal by the Ministry of Transport. And therefore, after interrogation, it was an observation from our committee. We were putting as an observation.
All right.
But then on further scrutiny to the law, we realized that that cannot be done under the Finance Act. It will have to be through a regulation through the Ministry of Transport.
Okay, all right. So let's take a look at some feedback that has come to us at Citizen TV Kenya. Some get to the hashtag to use this Citizen Daybreak. Okay, Mwalimu, you're saying that, dear Gen Zs, thank you for choosing patriotism over fear, resoluteness over fence-sitting, decisiveness over hero worshipping. I have nothing but admiration. You must resist attempts by Kenya Kwanza regime to lure you to the so-called dialogue table, reject and insist on solutions. Crispina Adams, Treasury should publicize a detailed breakdown of the public debt showing when and the amounts borrowed, whom we borrowed from, how much has been spent on development and location, plus whom we paid and balance remaining. Jakababa, the truth is Gen Z has given Kenya Kwanza government a vote of no confidence. Regardless, let me just read it as written. Regardless, going forward, the politics of taking advantage of young people in 27, some politicians will learn the lesson painfully. You mean 2027? Pinito Jr., why is the government claiming that they are applauding the youth for voicing their grievances, yet abduct the same youth? Make it make sense. And that's what we have to leave it at. We hear that there are some few more people that are taken last night. We'll be following that to see the status and what's happening to them. Thank you so much, Chairman Kurekimani. I see the mic is already off. Nelson Koech, Alex from CDHK, and Senator Edwin Sifuna. So we'll invite you again soon.
I'll send a Gen Z. Gen Z, this seat is yours.
Okay, we'll invite the Senator of Nairobi. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time.